Today we are answering the age-old question, how can landscapers get customers? I'm going to show you how I helped a company go from 400,000 to over 2.5 million a year in just a few years by following the strategy I'm about to lay out for you. In case you don't know who I am, my name is Chuck. I've been remodeling homes my whole life, and a few years ago, I created a spin-off landscaping company because after helping hundreds of other contractors with their marketing, I found that marketing for landscapers is pretty easy. There's a lot of volume, there's a lot of demand, and typically the competition's pretty weak, so it's easy to get a lot of customers and grow a business fast. And that's what I like. I like growing businesses fast. A few years ago, a guy named Aaron found me on my YouTube channel and he hit me up for help. Aaron is the owner of Lundy's Landscaping. He was in that super common situation back then where he had some customers, but they weren't the kind of customers he wanted. They were cheap, they were a bunch of tire kickers. He wasn't doing the kind of projects he wanted, but he felt desperate for work, so he was constantly underbidding just to get some work to keep his guys busy. I've been in this situation many times in my life, and you're probably in this situation now. Nobody likes feeling like they have no control over their business. Tons of people hit me up. They watch my videos and they're like, oh, maybe this guy can help me. The first thing I always do is I go on Google, I go online, I look at their business, I look at their competition. I've done this thousands of times at this point. It's very easy and fast for me to go and look at a business and know exactly how difficult it's going to be to get customers. And back in the day when I looked at Aaron's company for the first time, I knew immediately, I was like, this is going to rip for this guy. But him and his wife were still super skeptical. They've tried things like this before, didn't really pan out. Eventually, he convinced himself to take the leap. The results that came from it were even better than I had expected.
Right before you texted me, I was like, I should probably see how many estimates I've done in the last 22 days, because that's kind of when it started. Mm-hmm. I've done 69 estimates in the last 22 days, dude.
Dang. So sure enough, I was right. We followed the same exact process I'm about to lay out for you, and it worked extremely well for Aaron. Though Aaron's results were spectacular, this strategy that I'm about to show you is not super special. It's a very common thing. It's what every company needs to do. And when done correctly, it works every single time. That's why it's become the foundation of everything we do. And why whenever I talk about this stuff, I draw a picture of this pyramid, because the thing about a pyramid is you have to build it from the bottom up. You cannot build a pyramid from the top down. It doesn't work. And I look at marketing and business the same way. You need to have a super solid foundation so that everything that you build on top of it works. If you try to skip ahead and do the things that I show you up here before you have a solid foundation, it's not going to work for you. You're going to waste a ton of time and money, and you're going to be one of those guys that's like, oh, this online marketing stuff doesn't work. It works for millions of companies. If it's not working for you, it's because you're not doing it right. The foundation, the base of the pyramid, is made up of three things. So you have your Google business profile, reviews on that profile, and your website. And all of this is about showing up on Google Maps. So you know what Google Maps is. You use it to drive to jobs all the time. What you might not know is that Google Maps is like the Amazon for local businesses these days. If somebody's looking for a restaurant or a landscaper, they go to Google, they type in landscaper near me. Almost everybody, myself included, you included, we skip over ads. We don't want to see ads. Google always tries to show us ads. We skip past those and we go straight to Google Maps and we start looking at reviews. We don't look at anything else. We look at reviews first to figure out who we're going to look for, and eventually we'll vet a few companies and we'll find the one that we want and we'll give them a call. And so Google Maps is the bee's knees when it comes to online marketing. Google's where all the action is at. Google Maps is where the best action is at. And so there's three keys to winning on Google Maps. And it all starts with your Google business profile. And so Google business profile is very simple. If you don't have one, go to google.com/business, sign up for one, they're free. And when you are setting up your profile, there's three areas that you need to pay special attention to. You've got your targeting, you got your categories, and you got your business info. So let's start with targeting. So I remember when I first set up my first listing, and it pulls up the little map and it says, where do you work, And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm willing to drive an hour, so I'll just pick everywhere that is within an hour from me. And that is the opposite of what you want to do on Google Maps, because as I'll show you, Google Maps is only ever going to show you in a radius around your location. And for 90% of landscapers out there, it's going to be a small radius. It might be 3 miles, 5 miles. That means you have a 10-mile wide circle around you where Google is showing you. If you try to target a gigantic area, it's going to dilute your focus with Google. The best way to explain this is like when you're shooting water out of a hose, if you focus that stream of water on a really tiny area, that stream is super strong. If you have a pressure washer, that thing will go through your hand. But if you dilute that stream and you spray it everywhere, you're only getting little tiny drops everywhere. It's not very strong. That's exactly how targeting works on Google Maps. You want to focus in on a small area to be as strong as possible in your area, because that is the area that Google's going to want to show you anyway. Google's doesn't want to show you, an hour from your house when there's 150 contractors between you and somebody that's located over there. So when it comes to Google Maps targeting, you want to start small. If you're winning close to home, then you can expand that radius out. You always start small. I've seen it countless times now. If you target a huge area, Google's likely to not show you anywhere. If they do, it's still only going to be a little area around you. So your location targeting should be narrow, at least in the beginning. Number 2 is categories. So when we set up Aaron's Google business profile, he actually already had one when we started working with him, but he was only focused, the only category he had was lawn care. And so he was getting a ton of lawn care clients, but he wanted to get landscaping, retaining walls, snow removal, hardscaping, all of those other kinds of jobs. And the first step was choosing all of those categories on his Google business profile. We're telling Google what to show us for. And so when you choose your categories, choose wisely, choose the ones that you really want. Don't just choose every single one on the planet because it's something you might want to do. Again, the focus thing is important. You want to focus in on what's most important to you. Back in, a few years ago, when I was doing a lot of remodels, I liked bathroom remodels. There was a time where I took all the categories off my listing and I just put bathroom remodels because that's what I wanted to get, and that's what I got. And so category is super important. The last thing is your business info. What you need to do is just fill it out entirely and fill it out to the best of your ability. Like choose your business hours, make sure those are the same business hours you have listed on your website and everywhere else. Put a good description of your company, the services you do. You can choose what languages that you speak. You can choose an identity group if that's your thing. Like just fill it out to the best of your ability. You only need to do this once, but don't just wing it and put a bunch of stuff on there or leave it blank. You got to put photos on there. Like you got to fill this thing out. If you just sign up for one and you don't put any photos or anything, like why would Google show it? So get those things set up. Google Business Profile shouldn't take you more than an hour or 2 max, but that is the core of it. And as soon as you get that profile set up, you start getting reviews. So look, everybody shops on Amazon these days. If you type in an air mattress and you're shopping for an air mattress, you start scrolling down that page and you're not looking at anything except reviews. You're gonna see all these air mattresses with thousands of reviews and a really high rating. And if you see one that has 1 star, you just don't even look at it. Your brain like literally blinds your eyeballs to that and you're like, nope, not looking at that one. The same thing happens on Google Maps when people are shopping for businesses. Reviews is how they shop in the beginning. They got to Google Maps, next thing they do, they look at the reviews. If your competitors have around 40 to 50 and you have 1, people are just gonna ignore you. If you have a competitive number, if you have 40 or 50, just like everyone else, now you're in the running. If you've got 60, now people are looking at you first. So the goal is always to have more. Getting reviews is like one of the biggest sticking points that I see for landscapers and contractors in general. And I don't know, if people are just shy or they don't like asking for things or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, if you're not asking for reviews, then you're just sabotaging your own business. Like, it's so important these days that if you're not doing it, like you're getting left behind. And some of you are going to type in landscaper near me, do some competitor research. You're going to see some of your competitors have like 3,000 reviews, and you're going to get a knot in your stomach and think, well, I'm not even going to try because I'll never catch up with these guys. Like, you want to be those guys. You want to have so many reviews that your competitors see you and they're like, I'm not even going to try to compete. I'm just going to go fill out an application and work for this guy. Like, that's what you want to do. So get reviews, super important. A couple tips for that. Number one is ask every single customer, line it up. When you start a job or when you're even bidding a job, say, hey, I'm gonna do this job for you. I'm gonna do a spectacular job. And at the end, you leave me a Google review. Is that we have a deal? Set the expectation early so that you're not like desperately trying to get this review through text messages a month after you complete the job. Like, that doesn't work. You can line them up early. You can use cards like this. We call these review cards. It's got name of the business, the services, the QR code. You pull it out and you say, hey, pull out your phone, camera, scan this QR code. It'll take you to the spot to leave a review. It only takes 30 seconds. I'll walk you through it. Do that every single time. Train your employees, like whatever you got to do. You can incentivize your employees. Hey, John, I'll give you $50 for every review that you get that's got a picture of you working in it. John's going to be getting reviews every day, and there's going to be pictures of him working in all of them because he's going to get to the job and he's going to say, hi, Mrs. Smith. I'm going to go mow your lawn now. Hey, do you mind snapping a picture of me when I'm mowing your lawn? And I'll show you how to put it on our Google review, and my boss is going to give me a bonus. Everyone will do that. Like, it's not that hard. You can incentivize your employees, but at the end of the day, you have to get reviews. Like, don't sleep on that. If you don't do that, like, none of this other shit's gonna work for you, so just don't do it. Your website is the third key to this foundation. So you can get a little bit of traction with just some reviews and a business profile, but the key to really getting this to work well is having a professional website. So there's a million things that make a professional website. I'm gonna narrow it down to just 4 things to kind of make this simple for you. These are 4 best practices that we follow on every website that we build for our clients. Number 1 is I'm gonna call it a perfect design. It doesn't have to be the best looking website on the planet. It doesn't have to be some crazy new design. It just has to be perfect in that when somebody lands on the page, that the logo's in the right spot, the pictures look fine, no picture is covering some of the text. None of the text is like all squished up against the side. Like, essentially it doesn't look messed up. If your website looks messed up, people will notice in a 1/10 of a second, before, like subconsciously, they'll notice that the website's messed up and they'll just get an icky feeling and they'll leave. So I see it all the time, like people build their website on like GoDaddy or something and it's kind of messed up and there's just no way that it's competitive with the companies that have professional websites. So design cannot be messed up. Second thing, at the top of your homepage, it needs to say what you do, where you do it. So for Aaron, landscaper in Chilhowie, Virginia. That's super key for 2 reasons. One, when someone lands on your website, the first thing their brain's trying to do after they confirm that they don't have an icky feeling is that they're in the right place. They're looking for a specific service in a specific area. Make sure that you can let their brain confirm that information as quickly as possible so that they can continue on with their day and give you a call. Every page on your website has a title that is specific to what you do, where you do it. Super important. The third thing, you might not want to hear this, you have to put pictures of your face on your website. The days of being able to build a website and just have a bunch of stock photos of stuff, like that doesn't work anymore. People value things that are real. They want to know who they're dealing with. They want to know who they're going to talk to when they call. Like, show them who you are. You and your staff are what make your company unique. Landscaping services are not unique. You are unique. You're a special snowflake, and you need to show your customers that who you are and that you're not afraid to show your face. It's a big trust signal. I have a ton of clients who don't like to show their face, and I have a ton that do. The ones that do always get better results. So the data is in. The last thing, on your website, you want to have a page for each service category that you chose. So when you were setting up these categories on your Google Business Profile, You want to have a page for each one. So for a landscaping company, it could be landscaper, landscape gardener, landscape designer, landscape architect, tree services, snow removal. You want to have a page for each one of these things for two reasons. One, you want to be super clear to Google that like, hey, we really do all of these categories we chose, and we are the most relevant and the most authoritative for each one of these things. Two, it's good customer experience. When someone lands on your website looking for snow removal, they don't want to read about landscaping or tree removal or anything like that. They want to go figure out what they need to know and do to get you to remove their snow. So you give them a place to go to get all the information that's relevant for them and give them a good experience. So you want to break all of your web pages into those services so that your customers can find where they want to go and find the information that's relevant to them. If you do those things, your website is really going to back up your Google business profile, and it's going to make you rank really well on Google Maps. Ranking well is important because Google typically only shows the top 3 companies for a given service. So you want to be one of those top 3, and then you want to have more reviews than your competitors, and then you're winning. And this right here is so powerful that I told you earlier, Aaron's company went from like 400,000 approaching 3 million only from this level. Like he didn't even do anything else. And so you can get tremendous results just from being on Google Maps where people are looking, and it can happen overnight. Like Aaron mentioned 22 days, that's the 22 days after we launched his website. So we got his business profile all set up properly. He started stacking reviews. Then we launched his website, and immediately overnight, he started getting calls for all of these services. And that's the thing, like he was getting 10 times more calls than he was used to, but also these estimates that he was doing were for projects that were 10 times bigger than he had ever bid. He was constantly giving quotes that were the biggest quote that he had ever given for a long time. And he rode this wave for many years. And there's another video on my channel of him talking about how he was finally able to start saying no to customers that weren't a good fit. Like he got control over his business just from finding a consistent flow of customers. So don't sleep on this stuff. Like getting on Google Maps is the most important thing you can do when it comes to online marketing. So eventually over the years, he grew his business a lot, but he eventually started hitting the ceiling of what he could get from Google Maps. Like there's only so many people searching for his services. And so a few months ago, he finally moved up to the second level, which we call LSA. This stands for local service ads. And local service ads is Google's pay per lead advertising option. And what it is, if you type in landscaper near me, Google's always going to show you ads at the top, and those first 2 companies that show up with their little reviews there are local service ads. And so really what they're doing is they're taking your Google business profile with all the reviews you've got, and they're popping it up at the top of the Google search page and giving people the option of reading your reviews and contacting you. And if someone contacts you, you pay for that lead. And so for those people out there who don't skip ads, I'm not one of those, but for all those people who don't skip ads, a lot of them are finding landscapers through local service ads. And I put it as number 2 because this is the first thing I would do when it comes to advertising, because it's the lowest risk option you have. If you get a call from Google, you pay for it. If you don't get any calls, you don't spend any money. There's not a lot of advertising options where you only pay for what you get. You almost always have to pay and then hopefully get. So this leaves the hope out of it and gives you an option to buy calls. Getting set up on it can be a bit of a challenge, but it's similar to your Google business profile. You can just go to Google, type in local service ads, fill out their application. You're gonna have to put in your contractor's license, prove that you have insurance, and do a background check. Once you pass through all those hoops, you'll be able to set up your profile. Setting up the profile is very similar to the business profile. You'll have a targeting area, you'll have your categories, you'll have information like your business hours. The difference is, like I said with Google Maps, you want to target the smallest area possible. On local service ads, you want to target the biggest area possible. Basically, anywhere that you want to get customers, you want to set those areas as your target. For categories, these are the categories of calls you're going to be getting. So maybe, in general, you'll take all these different services, but when you're buying calls, you only want stuff for landscape design. So you pick the categories that you want to buy calls for. And when you're choosing something like your business hours, you're telling Google, like, these are the hours that I'm willing to take phone calls. And so some people have figured out that if they enable calls in the evening or even 24 hours a day, and all their competitors only take calls 9 to 5, that they might be the only one getting calls after 5 p.m. So you can experiment with things like that. The other thing that you can do is budget. So you tell Google how much money you're willing to spend every week, and then you charge them how much you're willing to spend per lead. And these are the variables. When we're managing this for our clients, we mess with these variables until we find something that works the way that we want it to. And bidding is one of the most common things that will change. If we're not getting as many calls as we want, we'll increase our budget, we'll increase our bid per phone call. If all the other landscapers around you are bidding $100 and you tell Google, well, I'm only willing to spend 50, they're gonna get all the calls. Google's not gonna give any to you. And so local service ads is super powerful. I just talked to one of my clients like a couple of weeks ago. He's getting over 200 calls every month.
The last month, this is not all the leads, this is charged leads, but last month I got 202 leads.
Oh my gosh.
202 calls a month, that's about 6 to 7 leads every single day that this guy's answering. Like, could you imagine answering 6 to 7 calls a day? Like, I would have to hire somebody to do that. This guy's been able to expand into different areas, open new locations, and though he has the foundation set up and he gets a good amount of leads from that, the majority of his leads are coming from local service ads. And it's super easy to track. Like, it's a super good way to get more leads if that's what you're after. So for back to Aaron Lundy, he just started doing LSA a few months ago. We'll see how much we can get from that. But eventually he's gonna be capped out on not only the base of Google Maps, but he's gonna be capped out on his LSA. He's gonna have to move up to level 3, which is Google Ads. So Google Ads, also known as PPC, it stands for pay per click. I call it pay per chance because you're paying for every chance of getting a lead. It's kind of like doing a slot machine. You lose 90% of the time, but 10% of the time you win. That's how pay per click works. And the thing that I want to be clear about with Google Ads is that this platform is not designed for small contractor guys who just need some leads. It's designed for enterprise businesses doing billions of dollars. And so it can be very complex. It's very easy to get lost in it and spend a ton of money on stuff that is no good for you. A good example of that, a few weeks ago, we were checking a new client of ours who's running Google Ads, and we're looking through his website and we're seeing all these leads coming in. We're like, this is awesome. This guy, he's getting good results. Then we go into his Google Ads account and we noticed that 90% of his clicks were coming from India, Australia, Singapore, like all over the planet. Only 10% of his clicks were coming from the United States. We're like, well, what the hell's going on here? We had to narrow it down and eventually found out that when we were submitting everything to Google, like all the campaigns got set up correctly, but one of them didn't. There was like some glitch somewhere. And luckily we pay close attention to this stuff. So we caught it before it spent too much. I think it spent about $500. And we were able to stop it and fix it and go on. And lucky for our client, like we caught it. We always take responsibility, so we refunded him the $500 and told him what happened. But I've seen it countless times where companies will spend tons of money on clicks all over the world for years before someone like me looks and tells them. Imagine the knot in your stomach when you find out you spent 50 grand on Google Ads in India. Like, I've had to be the bearer of bad news on that before, and let me tell you, like, you don't want to be in that situation. So you have to be super careful with Google Ads. I'm not trying to scare you away from it. I'm just trying to let you know, like with local service ads, you'll know super quickly if it's working or not because you're getting phone calls and you pay for those calls. With Google Ads, you could be buying clicks and getting no leads and have no idea what's going on and really have to dig in to find out what's going on. So with that caveat, whether you're doing the ads yourself or if you have an agency doing your ads for you, there's a few tips I have for you. Number one is you need to choose the right keywords. So you don't want to buy clicks for a keyword from someone who's typing in like, how much does it cost to install a swimming pool? Or like, how much does it cost to get a tree removed? Like, that person is just in research mode. They may or may not be looking to hire anybody to do that, but the likelihood of them actually becoming a lead and a customer is pretty low, even if you pay 15 bucks just to get them to click on your ad. On the flip side, if you are bidding on keywords such as tree removal service near me, chances are pretty high that that person is looking to hire someone like you right now. So those are the kind of keywords you want to bid on. So if you're doing it yourself, check on it. If you're working with an agency, just ask them like, hey, what keywords are we bidding on? What are the negative keywords? Negative keywords means the keywords we don't want to bid on. And just get an idea. Like, you should know that if your dollars are going towards these ads. The second tip I have for you is to use call extensions. So I come across a lot of companies that aren't using call extensions. All it is adding your phone number, a clickable phone number next to your ad, so that if somebody just wants to get a tree removed right now, they can skip all the other steps and just click and call you. And so it's an easy way to get more money out of the investment that you're making in Google ads, and you're kind of dumb not to do it. The third thing is all about tracking. So I always say, when you're doing any kind of marketing, when you're investing in any kind of marketing, it's important for you to track the leads as they come in and note where they come from, so that later on you can figure out how much money you spent on Google ads and how much money you made from Google ads. So tracking it yourself, super important. But with Google ads, it's important to have the technical tracking set up on your website or your landing page or wherever you're sending the people who click on your ads. It's extremely important that that information makes its way back to Google, because Google has spent bazillions of dollars on this algorithm, and the whole point of the algorithm is to show your ads to people and then see what people actually become leads for you, and then try to show your ads to more people like that. And so if Google never gets that information about who actually became a lead, then Google is just forever showing random people your ads, and they won't be as cost effective for you. And if you're running ads, chances are your competitors are running ads. So if your competitors have this set up properly and you don't, your leads are gonna cost 2 or 3 times as much as theirs, and you're not gonna be able to afford to do this anymore. So tracking is paramount. It can be kind of a pain in the butt to set it up, but you have to do it. If you're gonna run ads, you need to have that tracking. So this marketing stack that I just showed you starts with the foundation. You're on Google Maps, you're on LSA, you're on Google Ads. This makes up the entire search page. If you type in landscaper near me, you see Google's search page, you're gonna see local service ads on top, and then you're gonna see Google Ads, and then you're gonna see Google Maps. And that is where 90% of your customers are finding companies like yours. And like I told you the story of Aaron, absolutely incredible. I've seen stories play out like this so many times that like I'm certain of this, but you might still have your doubts. And chances are you've even done some of this stuff before and it didn't work out for you. But I would argue that that's because you didn't do this stuff correctly. And it's just been proven to me a million times. I can say this with a straight face. When you do this stuff right, it works every time. But you have to do all the things that I just laid out in this video. If you don't do one of these things in the right order, it's not gonna work very well for you. And you're up against guys that have figured this out. They watched my videos, they've done this stuff, and then they call me and they told me, oh man, that stuff really works. So like, be one of those guys, please. And I told you before, like, people are hitting us up every day to look at their stuff. We've looked at thousands of businesses. I really enjoy doing it. It only takes me a few minutes to be able to look at a business and know exactly what the competitors are doing, how much effort and time and money it's gonna take to beat them. And so for now, at least, we've broken this off into a little free thing that you can get because you watched this video. So scan this QR code on your phone or find the link in the description or the top comment, go answer a few questions. Within a day or two, we will get you your market position report, and we'll show you exactly where you're at, where your competitors are at, and what needs to be done in what order for you to win. And we'll just tell you what to do. So that's it, man. This is how companies like yours are getting customers online. You know what to do. Go do it.
I don't know, man, like to touch a little bit about like this whole process, man. I was right before you texted me, I was like, I should probably see how many estimates I've done in the last like 22 days, because that's kind of when it started. Mm-hmm. I've done 69 estimates in the last 22 days, dude.
Dang. Let
that fit in, dude. Like, matter of fact, dude, I kind of saw it coming. I kind of saw it coming. I had to hire an assistant, somebody to I've got a personal phone. You've got my personal phone, and then I've got my personal phone number, and then I've got a business line too. And I hired a girl, man, and she's been like the best thing since sliced bread. She answers the phone, she keeps up with my calendar, and I've literally had to integrate into using a calendar because, it's been so busy and so hectic, which is a great thing. Mm-hmm. We're doing about a $14,000 landscape job right now because of a lead that came from our website. So, which is great. I mean, it's probably the third or fourth largest landscape job we've done. And yesterday I went and I'm pricing out probably somewhere between $18,000 and $20,000 per landscape job that came from this. So I mean, I'm thrilled to have done it. I talked to a girl that does all my embroidery and stuff yesterday about it, and I was like, listen, I said, and this is the truth, back in February when you and I really first started talking, I wanted to do something different. The thing that's funny about this, I'm saying, like this whole process with you and adapting to this, it's a hard thing to embrace because it's not tangible, if that makes sense. It's not like I'm purchasing something, I'm saying? Like, that's what I told her. I said, some of the numbers he was ripping off to me, it was just like, it was scary because it's not like I'm going out here and buying a dump truck, or I'm buying a piece of equipment. I'm investing in someone that I don't know that lives 7, 8 on the other side of the world. I'm saying? Like, to me, I'm saying? And so, it's something that, and luckily Wesley had a ton of success, with you. And that was a big thing. I really trust and, lean on what he says because, he's a really bright dude. I mean, he's a really, really bright dude, and he's done things the right way. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people, especially in this industry, not that they do things the wrong way, but they don't do things. I don't know what the way to say it is, but it's not, it's not the right way. You know what I'm saying? They don't bring people on the right way. They don't handle things correctly. It's very fly by nightish, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. They're winging it.
No, yeah. I mean, and it's like people, and one thing that I can tell you, and I feel like we're doing something correctly, is because a lot of the guys that work for us now, I mean, are just top notch dudes. I've got some of the best guys in the country. One guy's a former state trooper. One guy's a former captain at a prison. He retired and wanted something to do. Mm-hmm. I've really got a good group of guys. So, but anyways, I say all that to say this. I mean, I put it to you this way, and you can put this in here. My wife is probably more skeptical than I am about this. You know what I'm saying? Or was about this whole, and I was really skeptical. And she said the other day, she was like, well, it's really starting to pay off, and it's really starting to, and that's excellent, and I think, the success to it is really, is being all about it. You know what I'm saying? Being all in, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so, and I'm that type of person, I'm either all in or I'm all out. And it's like, I was the type too. It's like, if I'm going to invest this money, and looking at it from that perspective, it's like, I need to be all in. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this dude says jump, I need to say exactly, where do you want me to jump? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you need me to, and so I think that's why I was so responsive in a lot of my responses. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you asked for something, it was like, shoot, I want this like tomorrow, because I wanted to see a return on it. I wanted to see things starting to flow and stuff, and that's when I think when we started the process, we'd started at a slower pace, with our initial deal. And then when I found a little bit extra money, I threw it your way, because I was like, dude, my thought process was, the way we were going to finish up, it was going to be like now versus 6 weeks ago. And, you know, think of the money. That's what I told that girl yesterday. I said, think of the money that I would have missed out on if I wouldn't have just made that initial, like, you know, investment. And so, but yeah, dude, I've been, like I said, I've been totally thrilled to start this relationship, you know, because it's, and one thing I was talking to that lady yesterday about, you know, I said, everybody's on Facebook, dude. And that's the thing about like these mowing companies and stuff. Everybody's on Facebook. Everybody's doing that stuff. And, you know, when I watched your video on the fundamental marketing thing, and you talked about Facebook, and it really kind of resonated with me because it made sense. You know, you were talking about how people are not on Facebook. They're not intentional when they're on Facebook. Does that make sense? You know, so they're not intentionally looking for something at most times. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes somebody puts something out there, hey, I'm looking for a dude to mow my grass, you know, or whatever, you know, and in reality, if you're thinking about your ideal customer, whoever that is, normally somebody that's like on Facebook looking for something like that is somebody that you're probably not even going to be interested in doing the work for. It's something I found, as crazy as that sounds. People that are
looking for a deal or looking for a hookup or something.
It's the truth, dude. It's the truth. I mean, like I've literally, like, to the point where, like, not that I've thrown out Facebook by any means, because I still post stuff on there, but, you know, I've just found it to be true. You know what I'm saying? People that go on Google and look for somebody, it's a higher, what's the word? It's a different type of person, you know, it's a higher quality of person, you know? Yeah. And, you know, really what this has also been able to do is add value to myself and really realize, you know, that, hey, we're taking that next step of being a legitimate property maintenance company. And I'm not that I didn't carry myself like that before, but I've laid all the foundation to this point, and that next step has really helped me, you know what I'm saying, when I step on somebody's property, really feel the part, I guess you could say. But I like I said, man, I mean, I couldn't speak any higher. Well, I'll tell you how busy I am. I told my assistant yesterday, I said, listen, I'm going to have to block off 2 days out of the week to not do estimates. And she said, why? I said, because that's all I'm doing. Like, that's literally all I'm getting done is like going out, and like tomorrow, after church tomorrow morning, I've got to go to my office for probably 2 or 3 hours and sit down and just bang out like estimates, you know what I'm saying, on stuff. And a lot of them, dude, are not cheap. A lot of them are like, you know, I mean, high dollar stuff, you know, to me, what I would think is high dollar, you know, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 deals, you know, and that, so, yeah, man, I don't know if I've answered any. I'm not trying to, like, you know.
No, dude, this is great. It's so cool to hear it from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's been,
you know, we have a channel set up on our Slack. I don't know if you know what Slack is. It's like messaging, but every time one of our customers gets a lead, it pops up and we all see it. And, you know, as soon as we launched your site, it was like every day coming in. And every time one comes in, we're all just like, yeah. Like,
oh, absolutely, dude.
You know, because, you know, we're all in this too. Like it would kill me if we did all this and you didn't get awesome results.
No.
And so, like, the fact that you're getting such great results is just like the lifeblood for us and what we're doing. Sure. And, you know, it's really cool for you to have this influx of work and ability to hire good people and keep them and show them that they can have a reliable job. And that's cool to hear that it's affected you personally. And now you feel more professional. You feel like more legit. Like that's
absolutely,
man.
As I walk through the yard where the hedges get trim, I see the empty phone ring, leads looking slim. Been hustling this grass, laying sod in the heat, but without fresh names, man, the hustle feels beat. I keep my mower sharp, my shovel on the grind, but the silence in my inbox messing with my mind. Ain't no glory in the garden if no one's there to pay, so I'm searching for the